Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host Brian, and joining me today, another fellow out of the West Coast, Richard West. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Rich Raw Dog Drums, right? That's your
That's
YouTube name.
correct. Yes, that's correct.
That's sweet. How you doing, brother?
Good. All good out here in the West Coast.
That's good. Which state are you in? Because I thought I saw in your profile pic it had the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, no, that's actually the Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
Hmm.
That goes from Tacoma to the Kitsap Peninsula.
Oh, I see.
So,
I think I might have got yours mixed up. Sorry. That's right. But I did see a bridge, nonetheless. I'm
yeah,
glad I
you're
checked out your
right. You
page.
did see a bridge, but that's what it was in Tacoma. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. And actually, first time I found out about you, you were doing a drum collaboration with Drumman 190. It was a Warning. That's right. It was Green Day's Warning.
Oh yeah, yeah. Green Day's Warning. Yeah, I've been with actually, Drum Man and I have been on YouTube a couple different times, and then of course subbed to his channel probably like 5 years ago, and he did to mine as well. So just following for a long time. He's a long time supporter and great dude.
That's sweet and good to hear that you guys still stuck around after all these years too. So,
Oh yeah, yep,
so I'll go to my podcast and everything. So I just have some questions here for you. Just like to kind of
sure,
share your story and get to know you a little bit more. So you ready?
yeah, sure.
All right. So let's start with the first one. Tell us a little bit about yourself, particularly your drumming history.
Okay, well, my drumming history goes back to the suburbs of Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up in Fairfield, Ohio. And really, skateboarding and MTV drove me to drumming. And I'll tell you about that. So we'd be skateboarding, my friends after school or whatever, riding ramps, listening to Van Halen and Black Sabbath and all the Iron Maiden, Priest and all that stuff. And then we go watch MTV and stuff. And it's never been to a concert before, but seeing that stuff live and seeing the drummers was just like put me in awe. I had a guitar that I never really played. And so drummer came over to my house and I said, let's jam. And so he comes over and he would leave his drum set at my house. So after school, I just tinker on his drums. I probably was like 15, 16 at the time. I just tinker around his drums and realized I like drumming better. I like playing drums a lot better than guitar. So I switched to drums. Um, and then I practiced a lot. I worked a part-time job and then ended up buying my first kit, which was a used Rogers kit. And I think back then with everything, cymbals and all, it was maybe $300, back in the 80s and stuff. But so got together with friends, some of my skateboard friends and schoolmates, and we tried to get a band together, and we thought had all this attitude and stuff. We tried to play Maiden covers and Black Sabbath covers, but we just sucked, and we had no singer. So it just ended up being that way. And my younger brother started getting better on guitar. He's 3 years younger than me. And then next thing I know, he's bringing his friends over after school and they're jamming in the basement of my parents' house. And so I go down there and say, what's going on? They're like, we don't have a drummer. And I'm like, I don't even like the music you guys play. They were playing like, the Beatles and the Beach Boys and, the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not into that stuff, man. I like metal and punk rock. So they're like, well, you can sit in and play. Yeah, so, but you know what though? I learned to appreciate that music after you're playing it. All those, legendary drummers like Ringo Starr and, Charlie Watts and stuff. You learn, wow, it seems simple, but they're playing some cool beats, right? So anyway, we got pretty good actually. And we played parties and we had parties in my parents' basement without them knowing about it, right? Until the cops came and that kind of stuff. Probably a year and a half went by and, I decided I was going to join the Air Force after I left high school. And then right before I went into basic training, I got married. Yeah, high school sweetheart. And our band actually played at the wedding. So that was kind of interesting. So after that, I got my first assignment. I got stationed at Fort Worth, Texas, right? And I had my drum shipped down there from Ohio. And after living in apartments for a couple of years, I ended up renting a house. And that way I could set up my drums and practice more and stuff. And then I go to your local music store like you did back then. You see these flyers, because wait, this is before the internet, of course. Metal band looking for drummer, and it was one of those, if you can imagine, those flyers where you pull off the phone number on the perforated edge, and then so here I am showing up with a military haircut, right? Because I was in the Air Force, and these guys looked like the stereotypical '80s glam rockers, and they looked at me, so you can imagine they're like, who in the hell is this guy? And he's like, you got our set list, right? That I told you about? Yeah. So we jammed, and I knew every song on their set list, and they were like, wow. So that was really cool. And so we ended up getting together and playing a few shows and in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I stayed together with that band for about 2.5 years. And what band, Brian, was very popular in the late 80s that's from Texas?
Pantera?
Exactly. So got to see Pantera damn near every other weekend, right? Just playing at bars and stuff. And then dream come true. I mean, even though they were just like a good bar band back then, right? We get asked to open for Pantera. So we were like, pissing our pants practically, right? So, yeah. So we're like, wow. And people don't believe me to this day, but, I did sit down behind Vinnie Paul's drum set and played it. And his drum tech, I never forget, because, even though they were a bar band, they were still pretty big, and they had their tar tech for Dime and drum tech for Vinnie. And he said, don't touch anything. Don't move anything. Bring your own cymbals. And don't mess up Vinny's kit. I'm like, all right, cool. So that was awesome. And just getting to be there, you think back, and it was like, that was no big deal. But now you look at, their career and everything, you're like, wow, that was pretty damn awesome. So anyway, that was all well and good, but being in the Air Force, and I was the only one in the band that had a wife and a kid. I think my daughter was probably like 2, maybe 3 then. I kind of knew it wasn't going to work out for long term or anything. So yeah, definitely put a strain on the marriage and the band situation. But being in the military, I had an assignment to go overseas to Germany, and then I played like one farewell show with those guys, and I still keep in touch with all of them to this day. It was good stuff. So, yep. So let me take a drink.
Yeah. I guess, when did you eventually move out to California?
To California? I moved to California in 2009, but yeah, I went, like I said, I went to Germany, started getting into grunge and alternative scene of the 90s. And, I ended up getting divorced over there. I went to New Jersey and then Korea and Washington State, where I met my wife, and we're still married to this day. And then we went to Germany again together, and then to California. And that whole time, since Texas, I never sat behind a drum kit. I never started playing drums again because they were either in storage or I had no place to set them up or whatever. But it wasn't until I did get to California, 2012, is when I started picking up drums again. And got a new kit, Thomas Silver Stars, and started getting back into that. Played like a party band and played like an outdoor show one time. That was pretty fun. And so then in 2014, I retired from the United States Air Force and moved back up here to Washington State, and started my YouTube channel in 2016.
And been rolling with it ever since?
Yeah, definitely. Been rolling with it. Played in a few bands, here and there over the past 6 years. Grim Statistic, we played in the Seattle area, played Portland, we played, Idaho, we played all over the place. We made an EP. We thought we were a big deal. We played and it was great. And during that time I was in Grim Statistic, I made all these other connections, people saying, hey, Rich, you want to come and jam with us just for one show, like a one-off. And that's something that's popular up here. I don't know if you have anything like that from where you are, but in the Seattle area, it's just like you sign up to play a song and then they call your name and you go up and play. No practice together or whatsoever. and that's really fun because all the local musicians get together and just go and just have a good night out and have fun. And but also tribute bands. You get together for a tribute band, you may have one practice before a show. So I mean, I played in Green Day tribute band, Pixies, Weezer, you know, even a Van Halen tribute band. It's all fun.